What is going on YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you the finals of last night's RMC local. This is going to be between myself on the left. I will be playing Agumon with the list that I did post on the channel yesterday, and then on the right I'm going to be playing against Black Toolbox, I suppose, which is going to be having various different black cards, primarily playing the Metal Garurumon, which is going to be able to Digiburst to either pop a Digimon or trash the top security. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Greymon, swing 2 checks. Unfortunately, going to get de-Digivolved on the first one, meaning that I am no longer going to be able to survive that Sealsdramon attack, but I do get the second check off at least, so I do get a decent start going. Here we see the Metal Garurumon going to be able to Digiburst and pop my 4K Agu, which is a bit unfortunate. I want to get that early aggression in, but at least this Metal Garurumon doesn't have blocker with the Gigadramon. That is a good start. If my opponent goes out with the Gigadramon, which they are playing later, it will be a bit unfortunate because it's going to be hard for me to get over without something like Gaia Force or Bond, just because Atomic Blaster is not really doing anything here. Atomic Blaster isn't really going to help a lot in this specific matchup because a lot of the Digimon aren't small. It doesn't go wide, so I can't really delete multiple Digimon, and a lot of the Digimon here are just going to go really big. We're going to see an Alter S go ahead and come out and get rid of my Geo Greymon, unfortunately. So now I only have the 1 check to my opponent's 2 security, and then here is where I end up making a bit of a misplay, just not fully thinking through the game state. So we'll go ahead and talk about it here. Going into this turn, I wanted to try to get rid of both Digimon, and so I was thinking that I could go ahead and go up into the Bond of Bravery here, and then use the Lightning Joust, which would buff me up to 16k, to then trade into the Alter S, which is also at 16k because of the Gogmamon, and then delete the Zwart Defeat with the Win Attacking effect. And after a bit of thought, I decide to go with the play. It's not until that I actually declare the attack that I actually fully realize that I can't really do what I'm going to do, because the Win Attacking effects are going to resolve before the security checks and the attacks happen. So I'm going to go ahead and trash my top 2. I'm going to swing, targeting the Alter S, thinking that I'm going to trade and popping the Zwart Defeat, but then my opponent reminds me that it does just delete it. The check doesn't go through, so I can't actually trade. I still get 1 security check, but now I don't get to delete it for free. Me and my opponent are talking it out, and at that point I did learn that I was incorrect there, so it was a bit of a misplay, but nothing is too worrisome yet. My opponent has 2 checks and I have 2 security left, so we're sitting okay there. And now with this Agumon on the board, we're in a little bit of a situation where unless my opponent puts up some blockers or deletes this Agumon, then I'll be able to swing in with the Agumon and then go in with the Tai and Agunimon. And so my opponent plays the Sealsdramon, which is a bit unfortunate because now at that point this is shut off and the 2 security that I trashed is going to put me behind. But then my opponent Digivolves into the Warumanzemon, which is going to give me the opportunity to go ahead and swing in and then go in with the Aguni. I'm assuming they were trying to play around me going into another Bond, and then trying to put me at 2, because if they put me at 3, then I could have just went into Bond of Bravery, swung, deleted the Sealsdramon, and then just won the game right there. But instead, we are just going to go in with the Agunimon. Now going into game 2, my opponent's going to go up, and there's the Gigadramon, which I was talking about earlier, is a bit unfortunate because having blocker versus this deck is really scary. Having these big blockers, especially if they're like Zwart Defeats, are really going to shut me down, and so my opponent's going to go ahead and swing over, go into the Metal Garurumon, going to be able to Digiburst, and since there's no target, it trashes my top security, which is going to be Bond. I would have loved if they were able to swing into that Bond and get the check out, but that is not going to be the case. So now they have this Metal Garurumon with the reboot, but I am going to go ahead and put them at 1 with the Tai, and then they're going to go into Zwart Defeat to pop the other Tai. Now I end up promoting here, and I'm not sure if this is a misplay or not, because I am going to go ahead and decide to go with the Gaia Force here to pop the Zwart Defeat, which is going to delete my Agumon. So I could have kept it in raising and then just promoted next turn, but with so many option cards that I have in my hand, you can see I have multiple Atomic Blasters, the Gaia Force, and the Delicate Plan. I was trying to just get some draw going. Getting rid of the Zwart Defeat now and being able to trade that with a draw felt okay at the time, because I kind of needed to get my hand flushed out or I was going to be in a bit of trouble. But now this Mechanori and this Gigadramon out, I can pop one of them, so I'm going to go with the Atomic Blaster, get rid of the Gigadramon so there's not another blocker on board, which could be a pretty big nuisance. There is obviously the Mechanorimon, but if I go into a Geo Greymon or a Greymon on top of this Agumon, they're not going to be able to block it just because of well, they can block it, but my DP is going to be way too high for them to be able to survive in the check. And then another Atomic Blaster going to come out, be able to pop the Mechanori and the Chumon, so that ended ended up being pretty decent here. Now my opponent's going to go ahead and put me at 1, which is a bit unfortunate because I don't believe I have the Gravity Crush, so I'm not going to be able to go into the Greymon or anything on board and get the swings now, but I am able to go into the Greymon in the raising, so that way next turn I can promote, get those checks in, and start to get some aggression. Going to be able to gain 1, draw 1 with tie. My opponent goes in with the Genkumon, which is going to be able to pop, but nothing too big there. I'm going to go with the Lightning Joust and the Delicate Plan, so that way I can swing in for 3 checks at 10. But unfortunately on the second check I do hit the Metal Garuru, so the Delicate Plan didn't end up mattering, but I wanted to play around hitting something like Ultimate Flare or Iron Fisted Onslaught, so I could at least have a better chance of surviving as long as I didn't hit one of the big Digimon. But there are a lot of big Digimon in this deck, multiple level 7s and multiple level 6s that will all delete it at 10k, so a bit unfortunate, but I did want to try. Then the Iron Fisted Onslaught is going to come out and be able to pop my Agumon, and so now things are actually very scary because this Ginkakumon is swinging for 2 checks, and then the Toy Agumon is going to be able to come out next turn, so I have to play something on board to try and get some development going, and I have to just hope that my security is going to be strong enough to really pull me through, because I'm not going to be able to get rid of this Genkumon. The best thing I could do is try and not play something to make it so that my opponent doesn't get the security attack +1, which in hindsight now probably would have been the better play if I just didn't put anything on the board. Went into the tie and the Marcus to put my opponent at 1, and then go in with the Bond to get the last 2 checks, and then swing in with the Agunimon, and that would have been the better play. This shows why it's good to go back and watch your gameplay, because watching this back I can see multiple plays that I could have played better that for some reason I was blinded to when I was playing the match, mostly due to inexperience with this matchup and still kind of learning this deck. But if you can and go back and watch your own gameplay, you can learn a lot about matchups and mistakes that you made, which I am right now, which is always good. But my opponent's going to go ahead and go with the Black Memory Boost, trying to find a rookie and not hitting the rookie. I'm going to go ahead and just pop it with the Atomic Blaster, leaving the Greymon in the back because I don't want to pull it out and reveal it to potentially removal, something like Ultimate Flare or anything like that. But I'm going to promote now. My opponent just wants to play a bunch of blockers, so I'm going to go ahead and swing in with the Lightning Joust, which is going to make it so that I get 3 checks at 8k. But unfortunately all 3 of them are security Digimon, bringing out a Nanimon, a Zwart defeat, and being able to de-Digivolve my Greymon down to an Agumon. So now things are looking very bad. The blocker is still live on the board, and now there are as a Zwart defeat and a Nanimon, which are going to be able to develop on top of the Nanimon, or be able to just go in for a bunch of checks. When they didn't have any rookies and they didn't really have anything on board, now they have a very strong state. My Greymon is also gone, which is a bit unfortunate, and they're going to swing over with the Megadramon. The Megadramon now is going to be blocker, and they're going to go into the Metal Garurumon, which is super devastating for me because they're going to be able to Digiburst and pop it, which does get rid of the blocker, which is good. But now I only have 1 Digimon on the board, and they have a blocker, so I can't even get over it. Now they're able to go for multiple checks next turn, and the lack of the rookie at this point isn't really mattering too much. So I'm just going to develop. I'm going to go ahead and play a tie so I can get that out, and then go ahead and play the Expert, get another Agumon back into my hand. But at this point I'm looking pretty rough. I'm going to have to try and go into Bond to win this game. Unfortunately for me though, my opponent does have another Zwart defeat in hand, which is going to pop my tie, and once that tie is popped, I do believe I lost my win condition this game. The Digimon coming out of security was just a bit too much. Even the Nanimon being able to come out and have a place for my opponent to play the Gigdramon and the Metal Garuru without going on top of the Sealdramon did really just kind of lock some stuff up. So I'm sitting here thinking if there's anything that I can do, and I am just going to scoop it up. I can only swing 3 checks this turn, and my opponent will block 1, and then going back into my next turn, my opponent will be able to go in. As you can see here, I'm searching to see when I'll see an Agunimon. It's not coming anytime soon, so I wasn't going to be able to go in Aguni for game. But with that being said, that was this match. This matchup was very different. I could have definitely made a bunch of different plays this set to maybe change the tide of how this ended up. The game 3 was also a bit unfortunate just because all those security Digimon came out, and then I really didn't have a chance after that, even though my opponent was looking like they had a rough hand. But that is the game. When you're playing a deck like Agubond, you do kind of have a very polarizing game plan, and so when that game plan is stopped by things like the Mechanorimons, the Sealdramons, or even just the security Digimon de-Digivolving my Greymon, all those things can be very annoying, and we saw that here. But with that being said, that's going to be today's match. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'll be bringing you a couple more BT6 videos up until we get to EX1 on this Friday, and then I'll be bringing you all a bunch of EX1 content. I have also been streaming a bunch on Twitch, getting prepared for Nationals, so if you are interested in more Digimon content or you want to see EX1 grinding, tournament runs, deck building, all that, be sure to follow me on Twitch. The link will be in the description. But with that being said, I hope you all have a great day. Peace out.